learned history of English. It's considered the mother of Indo-European languages. It's one of the most ancient languages. Even yesterday I was listening to someone. The minute somebody talks about Sanskrit, they ask this question: which is older, Pali or Sanskrit? He says, first learn one of the languages. Why do you come to fight about which is older, which is younger? None of us really know. The date we know. It has been very, very cunningly, strategically distorted. Ramayana period has been, by the Orientalists, Western Orientalists, has been shifted after Buddhism. So all these, how do you rely on the dates? Whatever anybody writes, how do you really see? If I write a history now, and if I'm politically supported, if I'm very rich, if I can fund hundreds of people, then whatever I write becomes history. When I was doing research, I met an American historian. He said, "Geetha, what is history? It's a matter of perspective," he said. History we think is fact, full of facts. No. American history has been rewritten by the Native Americans, has been rewritten by the women, because in the American history there's no mention of any woman. All the Pilgrim Fathers went only with their wives, but there's no mention of any woman there. Now, that feminism is different from Indian feminism. Anyway, now we are linguistically colonized still, and our educated elites who love to go to America. Even I went to America, but I have never felt about anything there. But there are people who get really carried away, and they believe they are made to think in a particular way, and they fall a prey to that, and they come and teach us lessons about human rights and women's rights and liberty, etc. Next. So post-colonial is a very vague term. A lot of responses came after the political independence happened in all these countries. So we are going to discuss some of them. It's a very, very vast scale. So I'm going to talk about a few ideas. In fact, I don't even want to call them theories, ideas, and then some realistic issues discussed by the contemporary writers in their literature. And then the literary forms, those who questioned whose form are you. See, whatever the white man called as norm became form, and that became canonical literature. And whenever you did something different, then you become off the canon, and they don't accept you. So, in fact, in America, you know about Broadway theatre. No African American would be allowed to stage anything there. So they created what is called as off-Broadway. Then again came another thing called off-Broadway, etc. So, because they think what they do is the norm. Okay, so all these have been refuted, and that's what challenged. The topic is how they challenge this Eurocentrism. So, yes, next. Okay, we all know what happened during the colonization. There was external control, economic exploitation. That was one reality. And the aftermath of colonization is this. India was a very rich country. I think you should all listen to Shashi Tharoor's speech in Oxford. How rich we were, how our GDP was really very high, and how the Bengal famine was artificially created, how the muslin, wonderful textile that was sold has almost perished now. So, very, very, and we, even today we say, oh, the British only gave us everything under the sun. My dear, whichever religion you may belong to, go to Meenakshi Amman temple. That existed even before the British came. We were not walking naked. We were not people who didn't know who God is. We knew everything. It's a remarkable piece of architecture, culture, spirituality, whatever. So there are people, I've taken Germans there, they say, ah! No, that's the response when they see the towers. But people here who belong to other faiths, they are told, oh, devils live there. Don't go there. Oh, don't go. We are very happy. It's already very crowded, overcrowded in fact. Okay, so what we have is poverty, dependency, underdevelopment, and of course, corruption, all pervasive corruption. So, post-colonial. Are we really post-colonial? No. Some people call it neo-colonization. It's coming to me, reality. Next. Now, I've just traced some of the voices of resistance. In fact, in literature, post-colonial, the term became very popular only after Edward Said wrote his Orientalism. Okay? But before science itself, there were other voices of resistance. That's what I tried to say. You have Du Bois, who wrote The Souls of Black Folk, Franz Fanon, then Chinua Achebe, again Fanon wrote The Wretched of the Earth, and this Aimé Césaire, he started the movement called Negritude, and then of course my guru, Ngugi wa Thiong'o, and these are some of the canonical or the important texts that brought in the change in thinking about the Europeans being the central power or the almighty powers that be. Okay, so actually his lecture, in fact, he questions how Conrad's Heart of Darkness depicts the stereotypical thing about Congo and the Africans. So he questions that. Next, of course, you have this volume, Griffith's Empire Writes Back, and others you all know about Baba and Spivak's contribution. In fact, after Gayatri Spivak, you may think that Gayatri Spivak has done something good for the Indians, for the subalterns, but no. She also, the subaltern studies, in fact, is very, very West-oriented. They make us think like the Westerners. They don't want to believe that Sita was a very revolutionary kind of a wife for Rama. They want to make us believe that Sita was a weakling, she was pushed into the fire by Rama, and Rama was such a villain, etc. etc. Sita was, I read the original Ramayana every day. Sita was not such a weakling. In fact, Striyam Vaurusha Vikraham, she said. She questioned Rama, are you a man? You say I should not come to the forest with you. Did she obey Rama? Did she obey Lakshmana? When he grew a line, she didn't obey Lakshmana also. So she was a very self-thinking woman. The way Sita is projected is all distorted. And this is what they want us to believe. Whatever the West projects, that's how they want us to read the minds of Indian women. Anyway, so a lot of human rights studies, we hear a lot now these days, Dalit study, human rights study. I'll tell you the trick that is happening soon. Okay, next. The aim is to divide, as Dr. Subramanian rightly said, the aim is to divide. They want us to believe that there was no India. India was given as a gift to us by the whites, not at all so. The cultural entity called India existed for 5,000, more than 5,000 or 6,000 years of history we still have. Okay, now I'm going to the African American reality. Nobody talks about that in post-colonial literature. When these whites went to the slave trade was a common thing in Europe. You all know that. And the same slave trade continued in America, where the Europeans settled there, because they found vast territories and these lazy whites cannot go and work in the fields. So they thought, by the Bible itself, it has been declared that a set of people have been created only to work for, and these are not set of beasts. They were not called even as human beings. Africans were considered as beasts. So they brought them over and they colonized, and Raji Malhotra calls that as interior frontier, internal frontier. And the other frontier is the external frontier where the Native Americans lived. Okay, so but from day one, these African slaves have been protesting. They have not been conforming to the whites at all. They were chained. You should read Alex Haley's Roots. There's the beautiful Kunta Kinte. The name is given by the God. See, the Africans, like the Indians, have a way of communing with the universe. When the child is born, the father comes and shows him to the space, and he gets this word, Kunta Kinte, and he names him as that. And he's got a warrior spirit in him. But he gets caught, he's enslaved, he's taken to America, and he's renamed David. And they ask him, what is your name? He says, Kunta Kinte. And he's beaten until he falls down. It was the last whip that he says, David. And until he admits that he is David, he is beaten. And this is the good Christian community. Okay? that wanted to, and these are common sites. Now, if you listen to our media, they talk about lynching, Dalit lynching, slavery. I don't know. Was there any slave block in India where the Dalits ever sold naked in any slave market in India? Please tell me. Then why are they creating this narrative that India Dalit slavery exists? Read, please don't take what the media gives as it is. Read the story of all these African American slaves, then you will know what is real slavery, what is lynching. This is a common sight, this was a common sight in the American South, because if any slave wanted to escape, this is the consequence. So it's like a warning to the others, so that they don't escape from the slave plantation. See, in India, the wealth of a man was determined by the number of cows he had once upon a time. And in America, the wealth of the plantation owner was determined by the number of slaves he owned. Okay? So, next. So, I deliberately put all this for you to understand that this is the country which teaches us human rights now. What right have they got to come and teach us human rights? That's my question. Please think about it. This continued till when? Abraham Lincoln went to the South, liberated them in 1863, but then it continued for 100 years, and Martin Luther King had to come to the Washington DC and give his remarkable speech, I have a dream. They have given me a bad check, the check has bounced, he is still not liberated. It's continued till the 20th century. What are they talking about liberty in India? They say there's no liberty, there's no democracy. So they fund some of these JNU people to scream that, India is a place where there's tyranny. Okay, next. Now, why I'm talking about all this? These are the people who were unlettered, who were not allowed to go to school, who created wonderful literature. See, even Indians are inferior to the Africans, I would say. When Christianity was introduced, you were taught psalms. And what did you sing back? Psalms. But when the Africans were taught psalms, they didn't sing back the psalms, they sang the spirituals. They were a spontaneous kind of people. Africa was a country of singers, dancers, and storytellers. So that's something natural to them. You find all the writers talking about Achebe, Thiongo. It comes so spontaneously to them. So that's how their literature was born. Of course, the way throughout colonization, the whites did this, the Europeans did this, us and them, We the Christians and the others, the heathens, the pagans, and white versus blacks. But I wish to say that resistance, the challenge came when Du Bois wrote The Souls of the others were all conformists. But Du Bois was the first time who wrote a piece, anthropological, a number of essays called The Souls of the Black Folk. He wanted them to understand, the white idiots to understand that they are not beasts. And beasts don't talk about souls. It's only human beings who experience the presence of soul within, right? So, whatever the music that came to them, initially they sang the spirituals. Later, when there was the mind after liberation, they came out with a convenient law, separate but equal. Very easy. You are equal to us, but you are separate. They were not allowed to enter any of the spaces of the whites. None of the public libraries, public toilets. So, some of them became indentured laborers once again, but others migrated to the north. That's when the lone travelers sang the blues. See, this beauty of the African Americans is that when we are sad, we cry, we howl. But when they were sad, they sang. They sang the blues. That's the beauty. And when they sang the blues, they spoke about their sorrow in a very humorous way. And Du Bois says, we the blacks have not come to America empty-handed. If at all there is oasis, it's the African American music and their stories. That's the oasis in the dusty desert of dollars and smartness. He says if there is humor in America, it's because of us. So all I want to say is they were the first ones to question and challenge the idea of canon, the idea of form. Whose form is it? They asked. Whose norm? Whose form? When they spoke the dialect, they were questioned. They said, oh, you're all inferior, you cannot imitate us. They spoke, dialect was a code. They didn't want to be understood by the whites. They were very intelligent. So they learned the language, but they produced their dialect. Okay, so next, of course, later, anything they did, their music came to be called as soul music. Their food, what they ate, the cheapest fruit we get, that watermelon, that was called soul food. You understand? Okay, next. Now, see the form. This is the poem that I read these were not taught in our literature classes. We had the original WASP literature, the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant American literature. When I revised the syllabus, I brought in all the other, groups in America. America is not one country, it's a country of many nations with the Native American, the African American, Chinese, the Spaniards, They have many nations within the nation. So, this is how they sang back, and they started writing poetry like this. Good morning, Daddy, the dream boogie. Ain't you heard the boogie rumble of a dream effort? This dream is what dream? America is a land where all are equal and every individual can pursue his happiness. Rubbish. It's a land where Lincoln found is half free, half slaves. So the dream of liberation eluded the blacks. But they console themselves. Sure, I'm happy. Take it away. Hey, pop, bebop. Now you know that rap and bebop and blues are all coming to Tamil film industry, and A.R. Rahman came out with the blues. That Adiye, that is typical blues. He imitates. See, the Americans refused to listen to that music because it was too jarring. See, the African music has syncopation. There was a beat where you don't expect a beat. So their music was very different. But then World War came, the music went around, and everybody admired the music. Then they said, this is American music. They are ready to make anything American when it is accepted world over. Otherwise, it's blacks. It's not to be touched. Okay, but this is how the writer says it's hard to pin down. Like his music from spirituals and gospels, songs to blues, jazz and bebop, is likely to be marked by a certain special riff, an extra glide, a kick where none is expected, and a beat for which there is no notation. Usually, the white man, whatever he does is all written and rigid. Indian Constitution has been revised several times, but American Constitution is very written and rigid. Very few times only they are revised. They cannot, Indian traffic, I don't think they'll go mad. Everything has to be regular, orderly. But the African Americans, they're full of asymmetry, and they came out with a lot of innovations. So this is the innovation in form. Through music, loud music, they protested against the white man's domination of the field of art. Okay, next. Now, I'm going to the story of Native Americans. Their voice is so feeble. I think I mentioned earlier talk also, Whitson Indians in San Francisco. They told us, we don't belong to America, we don't follow their constitution. According to American constitution, gambling is illegal, but we gamble. We have gambling centers. How else can we punish the whites? We tempt them into the gambling centers, and we will. Now they have killed all our oxen. We don't have our, do not know how to earn a livelihood. So gambling is the only way we become rich, they said. So now, what are we told in our history books? Columbus discovered America. I remember a lot of times writing this answer in my. Columbus did not discover America. America was already with it. In fact, he landed only in the Indies. He saw some red people with red color, red skin. He thought he landed in India. He called them Red Indians. That's it. But then they called themselves. Several tribes lived in America. Thousands of years before the whites could come and land there. So, Columbus is now remembered for the genocide that he committed, the number of Indians that he killed. So he was the first abuser of human rights in the United States of America. Yeah. And I always admire, next one, a writer called Zirkalasa. Her Christian name is Born, I think. She challenges the white man's arrogance to say, my way of worship is the right worship. My God is the only God. My way is the right way. That's what they say. If you don't come to the church, and then you will be damned and doomed and whatnot. And she's just like an Indian. You just read this. Please read this short piece. She talks about how she goes into some of the old tribal spaces, and then Zio tribe, I think she is, and Inyam, one of the great grandfathers, the stories that they left behind. And we also believe, whenever I see a sari tied into the tree, I feel very happy. Because they say, cheap paganism, tying, imagining, worshipping tree as gods. That's what the so-called rationalists talk about. But then, mind you, it's very difficult to see God everywhere. Is it easy to see God everywhere? Even if God comes, you begin to question, are you God? That's what all your rationality leaves you with. But see, these humble people see God everywhere. What's wrong? At least they don't cut the tree and make it... See, our ancestors had a way of making you revere nature. And that was condemned as paganism. Now they talk about, what is that? Ecofeminism is that. I asked one Protestant father who came to speak in our college. I said, you people used to cut them as pagans, and no, why are you talking about nature now with so much of reverence? He said, no. That was the time they did not understand Bible properly. Now it's all there in the Bible. The Bible also says we have to respect nature. It's no more paganism. He said, Okay. She talks about, the green hills, the sweet cadences. See, how many of you can listen to the music in the river? You need a special ear for that. You have to be tuned to every sound in nature. That's prayer. Early morning you get up. How many of us get up and listen to the song of the birds, the rustling of the leaves, the cadences of the water? There's music everywhere. And people talk about the unheard music of the spheres. And she says, all this makes me feel that I am part of a grand design. I'm able to see the Creator everywhere, she says. Yes, next. See, this is the native wisdom, which is very close to our Indian thought also. I fain to trace the subtle knowledge of the native folk, which enabled them to recognize a kinship to any and all parts of this vast universe. See, the breath, something invisible is happening all the time. All of us are interdependent. What I breathe comes out, what you breathe also comes out, then we inhale, we take whatever the air, that is oxygen that is given out by the trees. If it is not there, what will happen? We'll choke to death. So there is a kinship. We are all interconnected, interdependent. Nobody can be say, I am independent. No, we cannot say that. But the Western society, if you go, I've gone to a 100-year-old lady's house with a man. Oh, she's a mother-in-law. She doesn't like anybody coming to her house. I asked them, what did she do? Once a week somebody comes to clear her. The rest is all automated. If you go there, they think that is advancement. Wherever you go, nobody. Even in the church, there was nobody. You have to find even, you go there, then you will know what life is all about. They cannot tolerate crowd. In Oxford, somebody was cleaning. I said, hardly anybody walks in the street. Why do you clean it every day? I asked him. You come to Madura. In fact, our country is very clean. Madurai has a floating population of about 3 lakhs. We still don't find dump yards, mountains of dump yards. It's relatively clean. So, what I'm trying to say is, West thinks, because of their automation and technological advancement, they have nothing to do with anything else in the world. But then, they call these people pagans. Are these pagans? She can perceive the Creator stand everywhere. Okay, next. So, dogma versus paganism, you can read for yourself. What she finds, both in the pale-faced missionary as well as in the Aborigine, the stamp of God. That is what the native wisdom tells us. All of the gurus that Dr. Subramanian mentioned, all of them talked about what? Ondre Kulam, Orune Devan. And where is Devan? Not somewhere in some heaven away. Everywhere. The divines. Without that, they say miracle, miracle. Breathing itself is miracle. If somebody stops, who's the one who stops it and creates it? Can we create one blade of grass? No. That's what our philosophy teaches us. The divine spirit is there everywhere, all pervasive. That's the same thing she talks about. So the excursion into natural gardens is enough. She was in fact questioned by one of her uncles, whom she says now follows a new kind of superstition. She says even going to church is a superstition. If this is superstition, that is also superstition. But then I find, she finds this is paganism, I'm a pagan. So I wanted to talk about these two set of people, this African American and Native Americans, because they were the first ones to resist the white man's idea of his superiority, of everything that he does is the thing, the right thing. Okay, and then later came the Africans. Okay, next. Yeah, you all, I don't have to elaborate on all those whom you already know. Many of you would have studied all these people. Fanon, comes out with the idea of violence. He says if we have to decolonize ourselves, it's a violent process. And he is a Marxian. He wants the change to come from the working class, not from the working class people in the cities, but then the lumpen working class, he says. Those who are not in the lowest rung of the social ladder, they should, come up with a desire to change, and that has to be a violent change, he says. It will be a violent change. So, but then he also questions this idea of natives. Have I surpassed?
No.
The natives who are told, they are incapable of ethics. So they are always, we are told, what is your impression of Africans? They make here. Some of the educated, one of my friends is a very educated person, very scholarly person. She also said they are bronze. We are brains. What rubbish. It's not that they are bronze. They are very, very talented people. And very different. See, in fact, in music we have three things. India is known for melody. Western countries are known for their harmony. And Africans are known for their rhythm, polyrhythm. It's very, they convey with rhythm. They don't even have to speak. And then, all their creation is just natural. But such people are called as what are absolute evil. And the whites certainly are forces of good. See, why were they called evil? Because they resisted the whites. See, whites can kill, but Africans should not resist. When they resisted, they were called as savages. So this is very well elaborated in Madura's book. Next slide. Okay, so this is one advice I want all the Indian scholars to understand. The newly independent third world countries are urged not to emulate the decadent societies of the West, but to chart a new path in defining human and international relationship. See, I was in England in 1996 as a Rotary group exchange scholar, and when we left the last day, they asked, what are you going to take back from our decadent society? One of the Englishmen asked us. And my leader said, best wishes, that's all. Why is that society decadent? We say, English education. If the English education is so good, the society should be so good. What is the kind of society that we see in England today? 50% unwed mothers, broken families, liberty in the sense of, you can sleep with anybody before marriage, after marriage. That's the law that our Supreme Court has now declared. Post-marital relationship is not punishable offense, it seems. And I read two interesting articles after that in the newspaper. One was two families. One lady kept warning her husband not to have an affair. He continued, so she committed suicide. Another lady also did the same thing, but she murdered her husband. Supreme Court may say anything, but Indian culture, women or men, they like to live as husband and wife. I don't think, though we have models in our film world, living in relationship and all that, I don't think people are now. But I think Delhi is almost gone. During Malhotra's lecture, the one who introduced told us boys and girls were playing, and boy said, if you win, I'll give you a prize. What will be the prize? His wife. You know, very casually he said, this is the culture. Is this culture? I want to know. Is this culture? This is the culture we see in India. Go and see. For yourself, you go and see. Nobody should ask whether somebody is so and so. People told, don't ask. Because man and no husband and wife. Similarly, don't ask anyone, are you married? Because there are so many unwed mothers. The rest you can decipher for yourself. So if that is culture, we don't want that kind of culture in India anyway. So then Hugo, another brilliant writer in Africa, who came out with, I admire that essay, decolonization of the mind. And that's what he challenged the Eurocentrism with this work. He wrote in English, but in 1977 he started writing it in his native language, Kikuyu. Then they asked him, why is it you have deserted us? He said, why? Is it anything abnormal if I write in my language? So like in India, English based, she speaks good English. What's that? Is there another language? Tamil many of us speak only Tamil. The result of all the Tamil. And even words, ரொம்ப careful. This Archie, he says, Lakshiyam. I thought something was jarring, that Lakshiyam, oh, that is Vadamuri. Sure, English sure is a Vadamuri, no? English Lakshiyam English. Anyway, so we are so, our minds are so corrupt. And the Sanskrit, he was telling me how I was battling. I was a lone warrior in my college. Once, by mistake, I said Sanskrit. And one sister stared and said, what? Sanskrit? She stared. I thought, what mistake have I committed? Is it a bad language? Is it not our Indian language? We are made to believe it is by some foreigners. Then, of course, all the Americans are foreigners. Drive them all out. Nobody belongs to America, right? They are all set as 500 years history. At least Aryan history, it's a concordant history, now it is disproved. But then still people are holding on to Aryan invasion theory. Okay. So, anyway, purpose, he very clearly, I love Diogo because without any worry, he hits the missionaries, the traders, all the people in power, left, right and center. Open attack. Read all this, I will marry when I want. That's the first play he writes in Kikuyu. Why? Because these missionaries, marriage was also forced on them. They are made to give like a dowry, they have one piece of land that also the missionary wants to grab. So, it's a kind of a protest against these missionaries who come and corrupt their mind, whitewash their mind, make them believe that they have to follow their footsteps. So, very clearly he says colonization, purpose of colonization was to capture others' wealth. And how did they achieve this? By destroying the people's culture, their art, dance, religion, history, geography, education, literature and literature. In India, they couldn't colonize us as they colonized the Africans, because even now we have some dance forms. But in Fatima College, I was told up to a particular point I could do any kind of dance. I was in charge of all the cultures. They said, no, you should stage only biblical dances. It's so difficult it will be. See, Nataraja, so easy. But I have to create and, do a dance for a biblical story. We had one very poor dance master. Very innocently, we paid only 500 rupees for 1 month's slogging. He'll come and compose, So, why this imposition? This happened in India, not by the foreigners, but by the Indians. So, naturally, when the foreigners were there, this is what happened. Now, the last point is very important. Conscious elevation of the language of the colonizers. English, that's what I'm speaking right now, what we are all speaking right now. We are made to believe English is the world language. Without English, we cannot survive. A recent experience in Fatima College is when I went to release a book, the present secretary told me, Sanskrit, why should we learn Sanskrit? Dead language. Learn German, learn French. I know French. But people are so proud that they know French, German. But Sanskrit, no, should not read. Why? Please ask yourselves. Please know the truth. Rajiv Malhotra and his book, The Battle for Sanskrit, is what I'm going to end my talk with. It's not just a language, a reservoir of culture, history, tradition, enormous amount of knowledge in this field of, it's a science of cosmos, the creation of cosmos. You have knowledge about medicine, most of it is stolen away because we don't know the value, we are not supposed to learn the language. So, Thieu was very, very adamant in going back to roots, reviving their native language like Kikuyu, Swahili, and various other African languages. So he knew English is a hegemonic language, yes. And he wanted to come out of it, but then I think you all know the rest of the story. He was imprisoned and he had to live in exile for 3 decades. He worked in Yale University, many of the American universities. He taught them what Africa is all about. Yes. So, and then this is another interesting, when you read his decolonizing mind, he talks about drama. The stage, they never wanted stage, no artificial lighting. Drama happened, theatre happened as it is in any empty space, they would gather. It was always interactive, And even about storytelling, he says, storytelling was a common experience for them. And then, nobody should repeat the story the same way a second time. If you repeat, then you are imitated. According to the whites, if you don't repeat the same way, you are inferior. That's what they have made us all about. All our education is what? Rote learning. Read and then by heart. If you have good memory, you write and get 200 out of 200, everything you have read. And you do nothing after that. You become ordinary. Many of them go to all these software industries like a cog in a machine. Now it kills creativity. Now, so their entire experience was one of creativity, innovation, no imitation whatsoever. Yes? So language, the politics of language, he emphasized, is central to the metaphysical empire of the mind. And in a system of oppression and aggression, language attains a hierarchy of power. Now we all know English is made to appear the language superior to all other language. I wrote an article, I don't know if you're interested in it. English is not English. In 2 ways, English, 60% of English words are from French. So how can they call it English? That is one way. They borrow left, right and center from all languages. In fact, there's a dictionary where they borrow from all the Indian languages. So English is not English that way. Another way, English no more belongs to the British. That's what many other African writers said. The Adichie and all wanted to write in English saying that this English is not what belongs to the British. Like we don't speak the British English. For that matter, like Bernard Shaw said, the Englishmen don't speak English. Who said it? The Irish dramatist. He proved, a flower girl made her speak Duchess's English. So to prove that, the ordinary Englishman, it's true. When you go there, if you speak good English, they ask, why do you speak our language so well? This was a question asked to me. I said, ask your ancestors. No, their history books don't talk about colonization and all the loot that they did. Like our history books don't talk about all the harm done to us by the invaders and the colonizers. Their history books also don't talk the truth. Okay, right. So, next. So the way he challenged Eurocentrism was to do away with this notion that English is superior. So he went back to his roots. These are some of his opinions. He said the most important part of domination was the mental universe of the colonized. Like all our anchors, TV anchors, you see the English news channel, they have, if the minute they speak English, they have to dress like the English. They should look like the English. They should live like the English. What rubbish. What dress you wear, you look like an Indian. Some of them look very much Indian. Why should you imitate? I mean, they don't realize that they are slavishly imitating the whites. They are not ashamed of that. If you dress like this, then you're primitive. That's what they say. If you dress like an Indian, oh, primitive. Yeah, they talk about very coolly. My friend said, hey, I heard that there's Shiva in Mecca. Primitive religion. Which is primitive religion? Hinduism. There's Hinduism, of course. It's all, again, I don't want to go into that debate. Yeah. Now, so the mental universe of the colonized. Do you agree? Many of our educated elites, their mental universe is still colonized. So are we living in a post-colonial world? No. And now neo-colonization is also happening. Yes, next. So his challenge was this. I already mentioned this. This part I've already mentioned to you. So he went back to his native language, he wrote a lot, and then he himself, because he knew English, he translated his works also. So he did the reverse. See, we tried to write in English and translate in native language. He wrote in his native language and translated that, like Tagore did, wrote in Bengali and then he gave it in English. Yes. So this last part is important. Language is not only a means of communication, but a carrier of culture. You know, that we shouldn't fail to remember that. Yes, next. Now we all know Science, Orientalism, how he shook the white world. Now, the European Orientalism was one phase. The same Europeans settled in America. They came out with a new kind of Orientalism called the American Orientalism. The American Orientalism is what our scholars in India now are engaged in. They are given scholarships, Ford Foundation scholarship and whatnot, Fulbright scholarship. They go to Columbia universities. I always call that TV anchor Bakka, that she talks about post-truth world, post-lies world that we live in, you know. She's a Columbia-trained liar. She will not have a piece of paper. She just wanted all the verbal, the idea was news. Luckily she's not there, but the mole is living in Washington Post. I think she's writing for Washington Post. Again, trying to insult India in as many ways as possible. So one woman is enough to finish the entire, create new narratives, destructive narratives about India. India is Rapistan. You heard all that, no? Only after Modi came to power, the Indians, they knew what is rape, they knew what is lynching. There was no murder in India prior to these 5 years, no rape in India. What kind of nonsense the media was coming out with. Anyway, nobody will question that. People are questioning, but then. Now, Orientalism gave birth to what is now called the post-colonial studies. He coined the word the other. The way the whites considered everybody as the other. If you go to American universities, you will understand this. We are all what? Asians. Okay? We means not Indians. We, the Chinese, the Japanese, everybody beyond their border are Asians. They, if an Indian joins the American university, they have, as he said, they have culture studies. An Indian professor was asked to teach Chinese, and she said, I am from India. No, you are Asian, you ought to know. You know? So in their mental map, these narrow divisions don't exist. So they have a lot of prejudice. The way they read, one story alone, is there time? I want to give you a live, Edward Sayer, in one of his lectures, talks about this incident. McQuay, an American soldier, found Bush's policy was atrocious when he asked them to burn the oil fields. He came back and left the army, and then he decided to destroy one of the federal buildings. He destroyed Oklahoma State building, and for which he was punished. And what was the punishment? First they said psychiatrists, they said missionaries. He said, I will not say sorry. Finally, it was life telecast. You know, they gave him an injection. Till the end, he didn't say sorry. Why? They asked him what he wanted. He said, I want ice cream. He ate ice cream happily, and he died. So this is the part when that incident happened. The news channels came out with a busy talking about must be from the Arab world, must be the African Americans. Finally, it was a homegrown white Christian boy who fought against one man army. He called himself. So Syed questions the stereotypical understanding of the Western Orientalism, all the people called Asians and how they othered them. So this myth-making created by the Europeans, he tried to trash in his work, Orientalism. The opinion was, all of us, we are all Arabs, Asians, Indians, we are all, we are incapable of rigorous rationality, and we are all devious, like people, despotic, Now, I think it's the time of caution. It's time. Okay, I'll just come to the end with one important, recent book, a recent attempt by, again, a one-man army, but now he has a lot of intellectual Kshatriyas, Rajiv Malhotra. In this book, he very clearly talks about the evolution of the difference between European Orientalism and American Orientalism and what is American Orientalism doing. And there is a poisonous Jekyll and Hyde called Sheldon Pollock. He comes here wearing dhoti, Sanskrit scholar who's going to liberate Sanskrit from the clutches of the sacred and the hegemonic Brahminical oppression that the Vedas is filled with. He's going to liberate, and he calls the Ramayana, he has the audacity to call the Ramayana across the literature. All kinds of reading of our Vedic tradition, Upanishads, Shastras, Kavyas, even the dating, as I told you, Ramayana is written after the Buddhic period. But we know Uttara Ramayana was, we are told, the Champuka story and all was an addition by the Buddhists. But then you read Ramayana, is there any king who says, I don't want the kingdom? Are there brothers who say, oh, let my elder brother come back and rule? Is there anyone now? They are waiting for somebody to die. If anybody is in power, they want to grab the chair, they want to push you out. That's the kind of people we have now. When are we going to get back that Ramrajya? Ramayana is distorted. All our sacred texts have been read using political philology. So he asked me valid questions. Is Sanskrit political or sacred? Is it oppressive or liberating, or is it dead or alive? And the last part, he beautifully sums up all the erroneous understanding by the Western Orientalists. So the Eurocentric thought has been pounded by Rajiv Malhotra with a lot of facts and a lot of research, and he wants many more to take up the language of Sanskrit, read it, understand, and then come to conclusions, not come to the conclusions that were arrived at by the Western scholars. Max Muller said, he talks about Samuel Caldwell was responsible for this divide, Aryan, Dravidian. Dravida was never a race, it was a region. And then how our Della people, they will stone you to death if you say this theory is false. They are ready to believe the conquerors. They are not ready to believe the native scholars. That's what Rajivji is crying about. He wants the native scholars to take up this battle and educate the young minds and remove all these, as he rightly put it, the poisonous thoughts of dividing India. India was a very unified country. Every religion was respected because Hinduism is not a homogeneous faith. You have, say, various sects. We accept everybody's sect, everybody's way as another way to God. We never say this is the right way, the only way, and if you don't come our way, you will be killed. You will burn an everlasting bonfire. No, we don't talk about all that. There's nothing called hell or heaven. It's all here and now and within you. You can make your life a heaven or hell. It is in your hands. And everybody, Amrutasya Putraha, you're all children of the immortal. Nobody is born to die an illustrious death. All of you are born to become God. Everybody has the potential to attain Godhead. That's what Indian philosophy talks about. So, because time is up, I recommend you to read the works of Rajiv Malhotra and several others. I think now Agnihotri talks about the urban Naxals and how the minds are poisoned. So many people have begun to talk. It's not as if they said, the right wing doesn't have scholars. Oh no, there are scholars. They've been quietly watching the drama because truth will ultimately win. Satyameva Jayate. So let any force come. There are people, saints and seers, silently praying for the welfare of this nation. So in spite of all these divisive forces, the Sanatana Dharma will continue to flourish in this land, because this land is a spiritual land, a sacred land, not just a holy land. You may have your holy land elsewhere, but India is a sacred geography, and nobody can remove or rip off the spirituality that is part and parcel of this divine space. So, Bharat Mata Ki Jai. Thank you for your